Hello everyone, this is Healthy Cooking with Coastline, and I am Kim Ferreira, the registered dietitian at Coastline Elderly Services. Unfortunately, we are going to miss Charlie today. He's been under the weather, so he wasn't able to be here today, but we are thinking of him and we hope that he'll be able to join us soon. So I do have a special guest with us today. She comes from Coastline Elderly as well. She is a resident service coordinator. Her name is Stephanie Gibson, and I'll let her share a little bit about what she does.
Hi out there. I work for Coastline Elderly Services as a resident service coordinator. I work at the Casey Miller Apartments on Phillips Road and the Carriage House on Purchase Street, which are both independent living, seniors 62 or older. Purchase Street would be closer to downtown, so it's a nice area to be if you want to live close to downtown, catch a bus and just go down there or take a walk. You're in a area where you're close to downtown.
Yep.
Where the Casey Miller is out by the Lord Phillips Apartments, and they are more quiet area and more secluded area, but they do have the apartments, and the apartments are nice. I'm there to be able to help anybody, any kind of need. I come with all kind of questions. If I don't have the answers, I will find the answers, and they know that. So I get all kind of stuff, right down to scams and everything else, but I'm there to help them with their insurance questions, anything they would have to ask. So, but I want you to know, if you're looking for an apartment, you got the Casey Miller Apartments, and that's worth checking into, or the Carriage House. Both of them are worth looking into and seeing if maybe you can get relocated if there's a need.
And the residents love Stephanie, so it's good. Yes. She brings her bright, bubbly personality, so it's good. And thank you so much for coming today.
Yes.
Are you looking forward to doing some cooking?
Yes.
Well, not so much cooking on the stove, but today, with the summer months, we're right in the middle of summer, we are gonna make a shrimp and corn salad. So there's no cooking today, just some good chopping, using a lot of really fresh ingredients that you should find in the local farmers markets. Hopefully you're growing some of them in your gardens if you have gardens at home. I got this recipe off of Cooking Light and made a couple little adjustments to tweak it a little bit further. So the recipe called for crab. Instead of crab, I figured we would do some shrimp. So Stephanie, would you start us away with chopping up some shrimp?
Alrighty.
You can most certainly buy them uncooked with all the shells on them. It takes a lot more time and preparation, so we bought them already cooked and peeled. A lot of times the fisherman's market will already do them in-house, so that makes it kind of nice. Mm-hmm. And all you have to do is pull off the tail, so it saves a lot of time.
Very good.
Now, when you go to the fisherman market, do you ever ask where the fish come from?
No.
No?
Should I?
Well, it's a good idea to see, fish and seafood can be a little bit more expensive than chicken and beef. So it's a good idea to know, where are you getting this? Is your seafood and fish coming locally? Is it coming in the United States, or is it traveling halfway around the world? Some fish and seafood we know we can't get locally whatsoever. So we know, like salmon. Fresh wild salmon is typically going to come from Alaska, so we know going into it, it's not going to be, fresh right off the boat that day. And shrimp is another example. We can't go out and just find shrimp right off of the coast of New Bedford. But, I make a point to ask her where shrimp is coming from, because it's very common. It can come halfway around the world. And I was pleased to know that this shrimp comes from South Carolina. So that's kind of considered local for us compared to, halfway around the world. And you will notice a big difference in the flavor.
Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it's something good to ask, when you're going to the markets, just so you know where this is coming from. And what is one of the key nutrients we get from shrimp? I'm quizzing you today.
You're quizzing me?
I'm quizzing you.
Protein?
Protein, yes. Shrimp has...
You didn't tell me that either.
I didn't, I swear. Shrimp is a really good source of our lean protein. Lean because shrimp has no fat in it. It can be high in cholesterol, so people get it confused thinking that it will make a big impact on cholesterol, when in fact cholesterol that we get from food doesn't elevate our cholesterol levels as high as saturated fat. So foods coming from animal products. So even though seafood has some cholesterol in it, one, it's not going to impact our levels as significantly as other sources of fat. And two, most of us don't eat shrimp every single day, so we're getting it on an occasional basis, which is completely fine and safe for your cholesterol levels. Another bonus with shrimp is there is some omega fats we are getting in with shrimp. Not at the level of, you know, our tuna and our salmon, but you are getting a little bit with our shrimp. So,
well, that's interesting to know, because it is a concern for a lot of people.
Yep.
Is a high cholesterol thing and people cutting back on it.
Yep.
But like you said, if you're using it, you know, it's not an everyday food. You know, it's just every now and then that you're using it. That makes sense. You know, so but people have fears against high cholesterol.
And it's education, and this is what we're all about. So while Stephanie is cutting the rest of the shrimp, we are going to come over to our other ingredients. Stephanie is just throwing this in a big bowl, so that's what we're going to do as we chop this up. The first ingredient I'm going to throw in is corn. This recipe calls for grilled corn. So this is the time of year that everybody loves to throw corn on the grill, and if you happen to have leftovers, this is an awesome recipe to incorporate your already leftover corn. If you don't want to have to hassle with cutting the corn off of the cob, you can very easily purchase frozen corn, which I did. You just let it thaw, or you can run it under cold water, and that will speed up the thawing process. So we're going to throw in about 4 cups of corn. Next is our celery. So celery is a great vegetable to add because it's going to add a lot of crunch. Celery is extremely low in calories and has a very high water content. So you can fill up on celery without having quite a lot of calories. So it tends to be known as, you know, a diet food, but celery is great to incorporate into salads. Believe it or not, celery is one of those vegetables that has some sodium in it. It's not a lot, you know, I don't want people to think they can't have celery because there's sodium, but it just brings to the fact that sodium comes in all forms and in all foods, and celery is one of them. It's a natural source of sodium. Each stalk can contain around 30 grams of sodium. Again, it's very small when you're comparing it to, you know, more processed meats and cheeses and other types of processed food. But there is a little bit of sodium in here. So we are going to throw in this beautiful celery, which is in season. People are growing it right now. I just went to the farmer's market the other day, and the celery was available, along with the rest of ingredients that I have in front of me, which is roasted red peppers, some green onions, and cilantro. All things that can be grown right around now in the summer. So it's great because this salad can have almost all local ingredients to it, which is great.
Oh, that's great.
The next ingredient I have is roasted red peppers. This comes from a jar today. However, it is possible to make roasted red peppers at home very, very easily. Have you ever done that? Have you ever made?
I never did.
Well,
but I love roasted red peppers, so how do you do that?
Well, it's actually very, very easy. You take a red pepper, naturally, and you're going to roast it in an oven at like 400 degrees for a few minutes. And then the trick is you're going to actually take the red pepper, you're going to throw it in a Ziploc bag, and you're going to let it sit in there for about 10 minutes.
Okay.
And all that hot steam is going to allow that skin off the pepper to slide right off.
Wow.
And then you have a roasted red pepper.
Wow.
So it's very easy to do, and it cuts away having to buy it in the store. And also it cuts down on the sodium, because when you do buy roasted red peppers, they do come in a jar and they've been treated with a little bit of salt. If you don't want to go that step of making them yourself, you can most certainly buy them in a jar. I just take the extra step and giving them a really good rinse, so you're making sure to get rid of some of that excess sodium. We know we can't get rid of all of it, but if we can at least get some of it, down the drain, that's better. The next ingredient is our green onions. This will add, again, a little bit of crunch. Green onions are a little more of a mild flavor than our regular onions. So if you're not a big onion fan, not to worry. You're not going to have a really strong onion flavor with this salad. And you can also play it up by choosing whether or not you want the white side or the green side. The white side is going to give you more of that stronger onion flavor. Whereas the green side, a lot of times, is used really for garnish. You're not going to get a ton of flavor out of there. And if you absolutely do not like onions, you can leave them out.
I love green onions. I got some green onions sitting in my bin down the bottom of the refrigerator.
Oh, good.
Ready to be used. I love using green onions.
Well, maybe this is a good recipe for you to pull them out, right?
It really is. You got everything I want for the day you invite me to help you. You got everything. You got the shrimp, you got the green onions, you got corn, you got roasted. I'm happy.
Oh, good. Well, that's good. I'm glad we're making something you like.
It's a salad, yes.
It's a different kind of salad. This is a great salad to make.
Summer salad, yeah.
Exactly. If you're having people over or if you're going to a party, when we go to parties in the summer, we've got tons of potato salad and macaroni salad and a lot of things that ended up being really high in fat and sodium. So it's kind of nice to bring something that tastes fabulous but is also on the healthier side. So my last ingredients before we mix this all up is cilantro. I love cilantro. This gives it a nice, bright, clean flavor. And we pick it off of the stems and we just give it a nice, easy chop. We don't have to chop it too much because cilantro is already pretty little as it is. And cilantro, amongst other herbs, are very easy to grow.
Really?
So I was growing some until my tomato took over and provided a very big shadow. But you can easily grow cilantro, and herbs, I think, are one of the best things to grow in a garden because herbs can be expensive, especially if you don't use them a lot all the time. So if you can grow them in your garden, you can pick out exactly what you want and the amount that you need. So we're gonna throw in some cilantro.
What else is in your garden?
I've got tomatoes, I've got some Swiss chard, which is growing beautifully. I have some beans, I have some peppers growing, and some parsley.
Sounds like a nice garden.
I've got some raspberries that are growing, which the birds are stealing every single one of them. So we have all of our dry ingredients done, and as you see, the color on this is beautiful.
Yeah.
We have our nice pink from the shrimp, we've got our yellow and our red and our green, and I'm sure like a lot of you guys, if you watched this show before, you want to eat with color. You want your plate to have a lot of color on it, and this salad has it. So our last step is making the little sauce that we're gonna have on this. And like I mentioned before, a lot of summer salads are just so heavily relying on mayo. And this has absolutely no mayo, it has a nice light little dressing that we're gonna do. What we're first gonna do is some limes. So we've had them already cut up, and we're just gonna squeeze about 1/4 of a cup. So we'll just take about a few of these chunks. We're just gonna squeeze them together. If you really don't wanna do this, you can buy the little jar, the little squeezy of lime juice. You can most certainly do that. But using fresh limes will give it a much fresher, cleaner taste. So we can have fun, if you're making this with kids or grandkids, they can definitely help out in this part of it. They can get all that lime out, squeeze it all out.
Or a big kid at heart like me, I'm having fun squeezing that lime.
So we're gonna get a few of these squeezed. So you probably just a couple more. Do you like to cook? Do you cook in the kitchen?
Yes, I love to cook. I call myself the garbage cook.
The
I put everything together, no matter what it is, noodles, rice, whatever I feel like that day, I throw it all in together.
Perfect.
You know, so I'm like, I make these dishes and I'm incredible. I'll eat the whole pot by the time I'm good. It's all about the seasonings, what you add that makes the difference. So,
well, for this sauce, we're gonna add just a couple seasonings. So we have our lime juice. Next is our little secret ingredient. Instead of mayo, we're gonna be doing Greek yogurt. Plain Greek yogurt is almost identical to sour cream, and when you're adding other flavors to it, can be a very good substitute for mayonnaise too. So we're gonna do about 3 tablespoons of that. What's nice about using Greek yogurt too is what's different with Greek yogurt than the other yogurts?
More protein?
Yes, again, there's more protein in it.
Yes.
You're 2 for 2. All right.
Okay.
So the Greek yogurt may not have as much calcium. So if you're someone who does have yogurt because of the calcium, you are going to want to look at the label quite a bit. And when you're looking at the label of yogurt, you want to make sure that the percentage by calcium says at least 30%, because sometimes Greek yogurts can vary, and because they go through that extra step of straining the liquid to pump up that protein, sometimes the calcium isn't as high in these types of yogurt. So it's really good to look at the label. Fortunately, this one is 40%, so this is a really good source of calcium. The next component is a little bit of black pepper, salt, and a little bit of red cayenne pepper. You can leave the cayenne pepper out if you want, if you don't really like anything overly spicy, but we'll add a couple little.
How's that?
Yep. And then a little pinch of salt. As you see, all of these ingredients have minimal, if not any sodium. We're just adding a little bit of salt just to provide it with a little bit of flavor. As you know, my favorite is the kosher salt because it has a bigger grain. So per teaspoon, you're not getting as much sodium as if you were using table salt, almost by half. So would you like to whisk this together? We're gonna get our dressing nice and whisked.
Am I doing it right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You're doing a great job. Beautiful. And you're never gonna know that there was not any mayo in this.
Okay.
Beautiful. All right.
Thank
you, Stephanie.
You're welcome.
We are just gonna pour the dressing in. And we're just gonna give it a big old stir. And it's just gonna give a nice light coat over the vegetables. What's nice about this too is, you know, whenever you're having different components of food, it's good to always have some nice protein and some carbs. So what's great about this salad is you have a lot of vegetables, which are minimal in carbs. You have your shrimp, which again is minimal in carbs. It provides our protein. But you have the corn that is considered a whole grain. And that's where we're getting our carbs. What's nice about corn too is it's also a rich source of fiber. So this is great for diabetics because they're getting their carbs, they're getting their protein. The carbs they are getting is from a whole grain, and on top of it, it's very high in fiber. All components that are wonderful for diabetics, as well as people with any type of heart issues.
Well, that's good for me to know because I do take insulin. So.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And this is something I would make at home and would love this. It smells even so delicious. So I'm ready to eat this.
So the best part of the show is you don't have to do this, but if you do want to have this for parties and you want to, I don't know, make it look a little fancier, you can buy some Boston lettuce or get it from the farmer's market because the leaves are so perfect. They're perfect for just putting in your hand and eating.
Yeah.
You can use any other type of lettuce if you want, or you can just chop up some lettuce and throw it on top of that. Or, you know, another variety is just having it with some crackers, some whole grain crackers. So what we're gonna do is you're just gonna scoop this in here like so. and it forms a little pocket, so it just kind of fits so nicely in this little lettuce leaf. Look how beautiful that looks. And it's so nice and summery, very, very light, but very full of nutrients.
It smells so good. And they have the aroma. I think it's the cilantro.
With the cilantro.
Yeah, I think that's kicking it off.
So, are we ready to try?
Ready to
Bon
try.
appetit.
Now, to be honest, I'm not a yogurt person, so if my face smiles, you know it's good. Yeah, I know it is. Very good.
The question, do you taste the yogurt?
No.
Does it taste like you missed the mayo?
Oh.
Good, good. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. I hope that you check out the end of the show for the recipe. You can also check out the recipe along with the video on Coastline Elderly's website, coastlineelderly.org. So thank you so much for watching, and we can't wait to see you back again.
This is the bomb.